Okay, hello. As was introduced, I'm Paul Jackson. I am head teacher at Gallions Primary School, which is in the East End of London. I'll talk about some of the background of the school, and I'll talk about the journey that we've been on and where we are now. And you can see the title of the presentation, How to Awaken and Develop Creativity in Schools. I think we all leave today very inspired by what's been said by all of the speakers this morning. But as we arrive back tomorrow into our schools, into our classrooms, into our offices, I want to make sure that everyone leaves with a sense of, well, what can I do? What can I do? These great ideas that are out there, where do I start? And for us, we started 13 years ago. The school opened as a brand new school. I'll just jump over here. The school opened as a brand new school 13 years ago on the back of a very challenging estate. Around about 95% social housing, a high level of unemployment, high level of crime, lots of antisocial behaviour, and children that were largely disaffected, didn't want to engage. Parents who had had poor educational experiences themselves, and behaviour was incredibly challenging. What we said that we were determined to do from the very, very start was to make sure that despite all of the barriers, recognise them as barriers and not excuses, and make sure that children could achieve at Gallions just as well as any other child would do in the country, internationally, and give these children the opportunities to be the very best they can. Just on key statistics, things that we kind of judge our schools against back in England. I need my translated copy here. So we've got 570 children on roll from the ages of 3 up to the age of 11. We're expanding, so we're growing up to just over 700 children, so it's a large school. Just over 37% of our children are entitled to free school meals. That means that they're accessing some kind of benefit, some kind of allowance from the government, which means that they're low-income earners or no-income earners. 30% plus of our children have some element of special educational needs. We're a fully inclusive school. We have around about 8 children who are on the autistic spectrum, children with Down syndrome, children with other disabilities as well. And just over 60% of our children don't speak English as their first language. And that brings with it its challenges. In England, in the UK, we have an index of multiple deprivation, where schools or areas are looked at by the level of deprivation around, and a whole range of factors are taken into consideration with that. And we sit in the bottom 5% for deprivation in the whole of the UK. So in one of the 5% most deprived areas. But again, despite these barriers, we've said that we desperately want to achieve. And just to give an illustration of that, over the last 2 years, a little bit hard to see, but this side here is 2011, and the other side is 2012. This is just looking at children when they left us in their levels of English, what we're compared against with other schools. And we can see in 2011, just the top row, 90% of our children achieved the level they should be against a national average of 81%. And in 2012, 95% of our children achieved where they should be against a national average of 85%. For me, it shows me that we can do it. It doesn't matter where the children are coming from. It doesn't matter about their backgrounds. It can be achieved. How do we do it? How do we do it? The vision. And ever since the start, ever since the school opened 13 years ago, we've had a very, very strong vision. A vision that's all around the creative arts. So the vision of Gallions Primary School is to be a high-achieving school where children learn effectively through an innovative, inquiry-based curriculum and our creative approach to learning. We will enable children to achieve their high ambitions and aspirations. We believe that the creative arts are essential to develop us as thinking, caring, creative individuals, and we organise our curriculum to reflect this. In order to realise this vision, we aim to teach our curriculum wherever possible through music, dance, drama and art, in order for children to make connections in their learning, develop their confidence and improve attitudes to learning. Through this approach, all children at Gallions Primary School will achieve their full potential in academic subjects and in all that they do. Now, we strongly believe that. And what we believe is that creativity isn't just about the creative arts, it's about all that we do. It's about the way that we think, the way that we talk to each other, the way we respect each other, the way we treat each other. And that's what we want to engulf the children in. As soon as they arrive with us, from the age of 3 onwards, we want to make sure that they're becoming creative thinkers, creative individuals, and creative in all that they do. So I thought, well, what can I do to show you how that looks in context? And I thought I'd take you on a tour of the school. Okay, so lots of visuals here. A few people in the room have been to Gallions, and I hope that the visuals that I show you reflect the journey of the school. Okay. So here we are. This is us. It looks very green and leafy, but believe me, to the left-hand side of the slide is the rest of the estate, the Windsor Park estate. It comes with all the reputations of an inner city estate, and certainly an inner London estate, as I said earlier on, with high levels of antisocial behaviour, high levels of crime, and it's the type of place where we're certainly told, don't go out after dark. Don't go out when it's dark. It's not a nice place to be. But here we are, so a large site. And as you walk around Gallions, instantly, we spoke earlier on about a creative environment. And what strikes you when you walk into Gallions is the sense of calm in comparison to the outside world and what's going on in the estate. And in the school, we say that we'll value what the children do. Here's an example. You see this as soon as we walk in. And here's some children's artwork, right from nursery through to year 6, showing the progression in artwork. And we value it in the way that we present the work. Creativity is beyond the classroom for us. And here's some examples of just photographs of where children have gone outside of school. And we take them away as often as we can. So here's a residential where children have taken part in climbing, in caving, in canoeing, in all sorts of activities that help them to become more creative individuals, that help them to collaborate, to work together as a team. And we give children opportunities to get out of their environment as often as we can. Every child at Gallions, and there are 700 or nearly 700 of them, plays a stringed instrument. We fund that ourselves. We know that if we charged parents for any financial contribution, there'd be little or no uptake. We make sacrifices to make that happen, and we work hard to make sure we're bringing the funding in to keep that happening. Every child plays either the violin, the viola, the double bass, or the cello. We have our own orchestra. And the children, when they play together, play absolutely fantastically. We've grown to a stage now where children compose their own music, so they're putting their own elements of creativity into that. The children start with us at the age of 3, so very, very young. But they come into our nursery, which up to 2-3 years ago was quite a stark, uninspiring environment. But we've transformed the environment. We've made it so that children feel safe, they feel secure, but they feel inspired. The majority of our children join us with very, very little spoken language. And that's even our children where English is their first language. They come in with a very, very limited vocabulary and without the confidence to be able to speak. So we surround them with all sorts of stimulating environments. This is a reading jungle with a lily pad cushion where the children come in to read. This is, if you know the Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, this is the Narnia-inspired wardrobe that leads us through to the Winter Wonderland. And there's the Winter Wonderland that the children walk through to take part in. Oops. Am I pointing this in the right place? It's over there, it's that way. There we go. Outside in the nursery, we've also got a rich outdoor learning environment. And this is the nursery's own dedicated outdoor area. We can see here, that's the fixed play equipment, a sand pit, lots of natural materials in here. And there's Hansel and Gretel's house through the woodland. We tell children lots of traditional tales around being in a woodland, seeing witches and wizards and all sorts. But we forget the children have never experienced, they've never had exposure to those events. So here we go, we've created our woodland on the back of our estate, and the children love it in there. The Hansel and Gretel's house is about the height of this ceiling. And the children go upstairs in there and have a great time. Storytelling area outside, and the children spend an incredible amount of time outside, regardless of the weather. We just make sure they're wrapped up warm and they get out there, and there's an incredible amount of learning that happens out there. Just on from the nursery, here's our vegetable garden. Learning goes far beyond the classroom, and we want children to learn through a whole range of experiences. Here's where creativity isn't about the creative arts, but here it is about creative thinking. So our children learn in a cross-curricular way. If we're learning about the Tudors, then the children will research, what did the Tudors grow? If we're learning about World War II, the children will look at what was grown on World War II allotments. They'll grow it here. They'll learn what works, what doesn't work. And this is for children right from the age of 3 up to the age of 11, not just for the youngest children. An outdoor classroom here, where all of the children across the school can come outside and learn. And then this is our 4 and 5-year-olds. So not just limiting outdoor play to the youngest children, but our 4 and 5-year-olds with fixed play equipment, and they're having some fun. With our bear cave, with real bear paw prints in the bottom. A storytelling garden, and you can just see in the background, it's not that clear actually, the storage units at the back of the 3 little pigs' houses. There's a brick house, a straw house, and a wooden house as well. Again, for the children to experience exactly what's going on. Children learn through play, they learn through fun, they learn through experience in all that we do, regardless of the subject matter. Everything is about learning through experience. There's a thematic approach in our reception classes. These photographs were taken just last week. The theme is pirates, and there's their pirate role play corner that the children built themselves, their pirate ship. Lots of rich displays of children's work, celebrating all they're achieving. And here the children again playing together. And one of the important things about when they play their instruments is that it's not children all from one class or from one year group, it's cross-phase. It's children that are 6 playing with children that are 5, or children that are 11, children right across the school. And there's a great sense of family because of that. As I said earlier, we've got a high level of special educational needs. This is a sensory room, and this is where our children who have got sensory needs spend some time of their day. They come in here, they have a whole range of experiences, bringing on their language, and they work very, very well, integrated with the rest of the children across the school. An illustration of how we learn, a science lesson, but that science lesson coming to life. And this is, as we walk around the school, more artwork. Our year 3 children, so 7 and 8-year-old children, have been doing some work on healthy eating. And here we are, it's brought to life through art. These galleries along the side of our art studio are where we present lots of children's work. And on the other side, the year 6 children, 10 and 11-year-olds, who have been doing some work on the local area, looking at the local docklands, where they went for a trip to the docks, they did some sketches, and came back and put together these collaborative pieces of art. Our art studio used to be a computer suite, and we ripped out the ICT. We said, yep, it's important, but it's going elsewhere. It's going mobile around the school on laptops, and we replaced it with an art studio. We wanted art to be at the absolute centre of the school. And we've got an artist in residence who works with us for 2 days per week, working with teachers and children across the school. What we want is that to be 5 days per week, ideally 7 days per week. But unfortunately, there are funding barriers, but we're determined to not put that in the way and to make things happen. Cooking is important to us. As the children grow things, hopefully, if it's successful, they'll bring them inside and they'll cook them. Our year 1 children were learning about fairy tales, 5 and 6-year-olds. They were in here making gingerbread men. We have baking going on all of the time, children cooking. Again, it's about another creative process, another questioning process where children get a chance to make mistakes. Children learn from the mistakes and children get to ask questions. Here they are. Everything in classes is brought to life. This is a year 4 class, 8 and 9-year-olds. They're doing a project on recycling. And this is their recycling machine that they have made. I'm not quite sure what it does, but this is their machine they've made. Here we did a whole school project on Roald Dahl, the author, and again displaying the work really well. This is an interesting piece. This is created by a class. It's above one of their book corners. And these are pages of old books that the teacher went and got from a charity shop. And every page has got a question on it. And as the children sit and read, they look up at the questions, and it will say things such as, what's your favourite book? What's your parents' favourite book? Who's your favourite character? But an interesting way just to bring that classroom to life. And the learning just comes to life through art. The content matter here is science, the content matter is planets, but what are we doing to embed that learning with the children? That space rocket there. Again, we get out and visit as often as we can, visits to galleries, virtual visits via the internet, bringing artwork to life, and the children then making their own representations. We have a rich library area, so that we're valuing books, valuing what books can do for children, and our library is very open. Every child gets access to the school library at least once per week. We know that our children don't access external public libraries, and we want to do as much of that as we can internally. This is just as we come around the school. This is a simple entrance to one of our corridors, one of our where our classrooms are. But it's brought to life. Again, there's artwork there. Every turn that we go around the school, I want it to be thought-provoking. I want children to come to life with their own artwork, with artwork of other children, with artwork of other professionals. So there are no opportunities for the children not to think, not to ask questions, not to be to have their mind stimulated. And here we go, some artwork that children have produced as we walk around the school. And in classrooms, here's just a small role player in a classroom, but it's inviting. It invites the children in, it invites the children to talk to each other, to ask questions. Other artwork around. Again, more book corners. Classes of children. When I think about 13 years ago when we first opened, and I was there as a class teacher when we first opened, and I was teaching a class of 4 and 5-year-olds, behaviour was absolutely horrendous. Children were disaffected, children didn't want to be there, and we were excluding children almost on a daily basis. Children were in and out of classrooms and almost uncontrollable. But because of the strength of vision, because of what we wanted to achieve, and because of the belief in what we could do, we've got to a stage now where it's a very, very calm environment. It's a pleasure to be there. And too often what we see in classrooms is that teaching is about behaviour management. At Gallions now, teaching isn't about that. Teaching is about a pleasure with children, about engaging them, about enriching their lives. And here we see a class of children who are totally engaged in what's going on. They had no awareness that I was there taking photographs, but they really love being there. I think in the last 3 years, we've had one half-day exclusion of a child who had some emotional and behavioural difficulties, who it was best to have them just with a bit of respite away from the school. That compared to where we were 13 years ago, well, it's almost no comparison. Outside areas that are rich. This looks a bit stark because as the winter months come on, it's a bit cold and grey, but this is our garden of life. It's a great outdoor area. It's a celebration of life. It celebrates the life of a pupil who died around 7 years ago, but it's more than that. It's a place of reflection, it's a place of quality, it's a place of aspiration, inspiration, and for me sets the level of quality of what we're trying to achieve around the rest of the school. Whether it's quality in children's thinking, quality in children's work, quality in the way that children present themselves, quality in the way that, in everything that we do. This, for me, sets the standard. It was created by the children. Here's some mosaic work that the children worked on with an artist and put together. The young girl that died, her name was Mechanor, which meant moonlight. And the journey around the garden is all about moonlight and all around the children's ideas around that. A huge, great piece of artwork. A lot of people say, what is it? And it is art. It is art. And a lot of people that come around the school say, well, why? And we throw the question back at them, well, why do you think? And for me, these pieces around the school grounds and in the school are all about promoting children's thinking and adults' thinking as well. Because it goes beyond just the children that we're working with. It's about the adults that we're working with as well. We've got around about 75 adults working at Gallions, with teachers, assistants who work with special needs children, admin people, and we want all of those people to be creative thinkers, and we want them to work in this creative environment. Here's just a picture of the school. It's a beautiful building, it really is. Outside areas. We're not all just about creative arts. There are lots of other experiences that go on. Our boys, as you can see, are great football supporters, and they enjoy playing games and getting involved in those areas. And I think that's great. There should be. There are lots and lots of physical learners, and we need to give them as many opportunities in those areas as possible. This is the expansion. These are the next steps for us. This is another 6 classrooms being built, and this will take us to 700 children. Our worry is when the children leave us at the age of 11, what happens to them after that? We know that the local secondary schools aren't as creative as we want them to be. And we're working with them to do more, but we want them to be more creative. We're thinking, well, what do we do? What influence can we have over the next stages? But this is certainly our next stages. The corridor, the new corridor, comes out the back of the school. You can see all the green at the back is all ours. So despite the new corridor, we don't lose that space. We'll still have the sense of the outdoors. And what we want to do is to make sure that with the older children, we're creating as many rich opportunities as we have with the younger children as well. Some of our children here, and some orchestral practice, some choir practice, and the great focus that goes on. So for me, we're on our journey. We're 13 years into our journey, but it isn't completed. We're nowhere near the end. And I guess if we ever reach the end, then it's time for me to leave. It's time for us to move on, because there is no end to the journey, as was said earlier. We will constantly reinvent ourselves. We will constantly question things. And I guess what I want people to leave with today is that if you don't feel that you've started your journey, well, it starts now. There are small things. This is grand. This has taken 13 years, and we're still not there. But anybody that walks back into their classroom tomorrow, back into their office, can do something, however small that is. Even if that's a question that we're asking, even if it's about the way that we're putting something on a wall, it's something that we're doing. Everyone can do something small, and I urge you to do something small tomorrow, because many small things create something quite powerful. So if everyone in this room does something small, it will be something very, very big. Thank you.